Diamond B Sports presents the American Sports Cavalcade. A panorama of speed, color, drama, and excitement. The American Sports Cavalcade.
This is the Los Angeles County Fairgrounds in Pomona, California. If you listen real carefully in the occasional brief moment of silence, you can still hear the echoes of those first hot rodders who brought their roadsters and sedans to this corner of the fairgrounds for the National Hot Rod Association's first major event, the Southern California Championship Drags. There's a great sense of history here in the air on the track. The presence of the first machines to compete here in a national event and the people who over the years revolutionized the sport of drag racing can still be felt. Today, history continues with the 25th chapter of the NHRA Winternationals, the opening national event of the year. Hello, I'm Ed Bruce, and those moments of silence will be few and far between this year as the faster-than-a-speeding-bullet top fuel dragsters, the thundering funny cars, and the super sophisticated pro stocks attack this historic quarter-mile drag strip. And two guys who have witnessed these 25 years of history, Brock Cates and Steve Evans, are all set to tell you the story of this year's Winter Nationals.
And Ed, that revolution continues into another great season of championship drag racing, both in race car design and in personnel movement. First of all, the race cars. Kenny Bernstein has just about the zoomiest looking funny car ever built. In fact, crafted by Indianapolis racers with aerodynamics paramount in their thought. John Force also with a beautiful new race car. And more importantly there, Austin Coyle, who wrenched the Chi-Town Hustler to 2 world titles, has parked that car, gone to work to try to put John Force into the winner's circle for the first time. In qualifying, the big news was this car, the Blue Max. The only two things they did in the offseason was to add a second parachute as required now and change the number on the car because Raymond Beadle no longer drives the Blue Max. He still owns it, but in the cockpit is John Lombardo of Southern California. On his very first full run, Lombardo set a national record at 5.68 seconds. His second run, he backed it up within the required 1%. So this car and that new driver getting along beautifully. But the Blue Max and crew have got their work cut out for them because in round number 1, Rick Johnson and Roland Leon's Hawaiian car ran even quicker than their record at 5.66. Lombardo came right behind Johnson with an equaling 5.66. So it is going to be a thrilling day in funny car competition. And the funny cars are not the only machines out there smashing records, right, Brock?
Boy, I'll tell you what, right you are, Steve, and all the world loves a winner. Look at them clustered around this Thunderbird of Bob Glidden's here in the pits. This car just set a new ET record in winning its first round of competition, 7:53, almost 186 miles an hour. Glidden came here at the Winter Nationals, set an ET record in qualifying, and then re-broke it in the first round. He is on a roll. What's more, we got some interesting competition in top fuel.
You can say that again, Brock. Led by this man, the amazing Don Garlett. A week ago today, he was upside down in the Arizona mud due to this incident. In the final round, racing Gary Beck, Garlett's wing struts collapsed. That instantly causes the car to swerve in any direction it feels like going. At one point, Big Daddy thought he'd regained control. Suddenly it swerved and rolled at over 260 miles an hour, putting him off the side of the racetrack. Everybody there said, well, Big Daddy won't make the Winter Nationals. They just don't know this man well enough. I arrived in Phoenix, found Garlett personally fixing the car. I asked him, could it be done?
Well, it's going to take a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck and a little help from the Lord and all my friends, and I think there's a real good chance we'll be there at Pomona.
And is he ever here? Big Daddy struggled a little bit in qualifying, but did make the program. First round earlier today up against, again, Gary Beck. Garlett's had it all together. Well, any concerns Don may have had about the handling of this car were quickly erased. He was off the mark first, a beautiful 5.53 seconds elapsed time at 258 miles an hour. He advanced into round number 2. I was there to greet him.
Well, Don Garlett is going to be mighty pleased with that time slip. The 5:53 Don ties for low ET of the round with Connie Coletta. And most importantly, you finally got it down the racetrack after all the thrash.
Thank God for finally getting down the racetrack. It's my first full run of the meet.
The track seems to be excellent.
They really did a nice job on it last night. They scraped it, and you couldn't ask for the track to be better.
You were concerned about the handling of the car.
Car seems to be handling nice. It's not the car I had in Phoenix, but it's okay.
Okay, Big Daddy going into round number 2.
In the world of big-time sports, the word legend is often overused, but in the case of Big Daddy Don Garlits, it's nearly an understatement. The giant crowd here at Pomona cheered him to a point where the decibel level practically equaled the exhaust note of his top fuel dragster.
And when we come back, we will see the man from Florida, who some say has nitro for blood, continue his battle for a 5th Winter Nationals title.
Well, he disposed of Gary Beck in the first round, so now Big Daddy will go up against Dick LaHaye, a man who formerly won the Winter Nationals, Steve Evans.
Indeed he did, just a couple of years ago. So Don Garlits, minus some of the aerodynamic tricks he had planned for the Winter Nationals, those were destroyed in the Phoenix crash, is ready in the near lane to challenge this man, Dick LaHaye of Lansing, Michigan. LaHaye driving a brand new, as yet unpainted race car, and it is crewed by his daughter, Kim, Brock.
Right, Steve, and Kim and Dick definitely have upset on their mind. Even though Garlits got passed back, Garlits is known to be running a car that is not really up to par here, and Dick LaHaye can run with the best of them when the combination is right.
And LaHaye will not beat himself. He makes very few mistakes. You've got to get to the finish line ahead of this guy. Don Garlits, after his success in round number 1 against Gary Beck, kidded with Brock Yates about a rather desperate strategy.
Well, I hope I get a lot of red lights against me.
If the opposition cooperates, it's going to be all right.
Well, sure.
All the hard work of the past week have got Don Garlits on an emotional high, Brock.
Right, and he's so much more relaxed than he used to be. Remember, he used to come to the races, and boy, he was one intense guy. Very, very few smiles. Now he seems to be having a lot more fun.
Well, we covered the comeback trail for Big Daddy last year, winning, of course, the U.S. Nationals, following it up here with a World Finals win on this very same racetrack at the end of the season. So he is on a roll.
He is. And, of course, this is one of his very favorite racetracks. He's been running here since 1963, so he knows how to get to the other end, that's for sure.
Well, the engines are finally up to temperature on an unseasonably cold day here in Pomona, California, and both drivers begin that delicate staging process, moving those front wheels into the electronic beams of the starting line. Starter buster couch in place, eyeing both of them. Garlits moves in quickly here in the near lane. LaHaye taking a little bit more time over in the far lane.
Everybody in the place, a turn-away crowd on their feet for this one. Every time Big Daddy comes to the line, you can be sure everybody pays attention.
All right, finally, they are staged. Garlits moves in. It is time for second round competition. Don Garlits, Dick LaHaye. You couldn't ask for a better start. Side by side at half track, Garlits makes his move. It is Don Garlits, his quickest time of the Winter Nationals. 5.50, and look at the speed clock, 262 miles an hour.
Well, Dick LaHaye gave Big Daddy all he wanted for almost the whole length of the track, and it was just in the matter of the last few yards that Big Daddy pulled it out. But look at LaHaye right out with Garlits and giving him everything. It's wheel to wheel all the way to half track. Finally, that little burst of speed that gave him 262 miles an hour won it for Garlits. Is this the beginning of another Garlits charge to victory?
Well, Don, you picked up the pace a little bit in the second round. A nice 550 over 260.
Yeah, the car's handling good. I'm just kind of easing up on that top speed, because I'm still a little nervous about it, but it really responded nice in. It went straight, and we're very happy with it.
Well, the big names in Top Fuel are all here at the Winter Nationals. Here's another one, Gary Ormsby, the defending champion from last year, came down from his dealership up in Northern California to compete, Steve, against yet another Californian.
Indeed, his competition in that far lane will be Denver Schutz. Denver is a raisin rancher, really, from Central California. Both these guys been drag racing a long time, but for Gary Ormsby, a 20-year dream came true a year ago with that Winter Nationals title. Denver Schutz was one of the first drivers in the country to break the 5-second barrier some years ago, but still looking for that first big national win.
This could be a good race. Gary Ormsby is showcasing a brand new automobile with some interesting aerodynamics on the vehicle. In fact, that seems to be the new trend in Top Fuel. The look for more speed through aerodynamics. Steve had a look at that trend.
We've talked a lot about funny car aerodynamics. Well, the Top Fuel dragster drivers are thinking seriously about it, too. Witness Gary Ormsby's car. Now, this piece of hand-formed sheet metal, there's one on either side, attaches to the chassis and hopefully will force air around instead of over the rear tires, getting those rear tires a little more streamlined. Other factors included in Ormsby's car, it's the longest Top Fuel dragster I've ever seen at 265 inches. Now, he says it's got built-in traction because at that length, it'll flex and put more weight on the rear wheels through weight transfer. Also, because Gary's only 5'8", they've been able to lower the cage on the car a full 2 inches, get it a little more streamlined. They've raised the cowl in front of Gary. They ran wind tunnel tests on a model of this car and could tell by the smoke they put over it that by raising the cowl, then that air goes directly into the blower scoop. So Gary Ormsby may well be on the right track.
Very possibly, Steve, because he worked with, along with his crew chief, Lee Beard, worked with Nigel Bennett, the chief designer for the Lotus Formula One cars, to develop a new aerodynamic shape for these vehicles. So, it could be that Gary Ormsby's on a new track, but Denver Schutz is sure to test him.
Oh, you bet he will. Denver Schutz just cat-like off the starting line. Gary Ormsby stages, they're gone, right together. Denver Schutz and Gary Ormsby, another great race until the engine blows in Denver Schutz's car. It is Gary Ormsby going to the semifinals. Denver Schutz did a fine job of driving there, Brock. You can still see the oil sheen on that right rear slick.
Righto. That automobile was out of control in the hands of a lot less experienced drivers than Denver Schutz. Look at that wheel. That could have put the car sideways, actually into Gary Ormsby, but Denver Schutz held it under control, and of course, Gary Ormsby squirted on past to take the victory. A tough break for Denver because he was in it until he popped his motor.
And Denver thoroughly lubricated that far lane. But a little bit of cleanup time is not going to get this crowd down. Look at them, Brock. They're amusing themselves. Right now, let's go out of the pit area and check in with Ed Bruce.
Steve, as you know, the history of drag racing here at Pomona dates back to the 1950s when this track was just an empty gravel parking lot, an empty expanse of land just waiting for a purpose. Then along came the Pomona Police Department, looking for a place for hot rodders to legally pursue their sport of acceleration tests, and this parking lot was converted into a drag strip for weekend races. It was, by today's standards, a primitive setup. No grandstands, a simple timing tower. But it was for the hot rodders a sanctuary, a place to let it all hang out that was safe and legal. In 1953, a 2-year-old organization, the National Hot Rod Association, formed to help promote the burgeoning sport of drag racing, with the city of Pomona producing its first major event, the Southern California Championship Drags. The cars, the facility, even the entrance fee has changed, but the idea is still the same. Get to that finish line first. Let's go back to Brock.
And Ed, here's a man that remembers those primitive days of drag racing. Big Daddy Don Garlits, at age 53, still the greatest star in this sport.
You're looking at the mirror-like front wheel on the world's fastest Top Fuel dragster. The first man to ever crack 260 miles an hour, the reigning world champion from Old Forge, Pennsylvania, Joe Amato.
And what a story this guy is, Steve. Came out of the hot rodding ranks, started in the amateur classes in drag racing, on the way built himself a big business in the speed equipment parts, and went on after 3 years in Top Fuel to win a world's championship.
Something his adversary in this race, Connie Coletta, has always dreamed of doing but has never accomplished.
He too, though, Steve, a pioneer in the sport, dates way, way back to its origins, and also has made a lot of money along the way. So here are a couple of very, very rich players in drag racing.
Well, Connie Coletta's flying service that he started on a shoestring has grown to the point that Connie just bought 2 DC-8. NHRA thinks they have a problem with semis in the pits. Wait till he invents the flying trailer. Joe Amato, as you said, in the wholesale speed equipment business, is a big one. Over 300 employees in Old Forge, Pennsylvania.
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, neither one of these guys are worrying about the prize money then. This is basically a race for honor and an opportunity to move on to the semifinals here at the Winternationals.
You know, it was almost 10 years between Don Garlits' first 250-mile-an-hour run and Joe Amato's historic 260 last year. And it really came about due to the efforts of Tim Richards, the crew chief on Amato's car, who came up with that giant wing and a number of other tricks. Connie Coletta was the first to imitate the wing. He even went a full story higher.
So these two guys come to the line with probably the tallest set of wings in the place, although everybody has gone to those big high wings that Amato and Tim Richards pioneered. Amato getting ready, kind of clamping down those gloves one last time as he moves into stage. This is kind of a classic confrontation in its own way, Steve. The new kid on the block versus a guy that's been here almost forever.
In fact, Coletta won the Winternationals a long, long time ago in the days he was running a single overhead cam Ford racing engine. So Connie moves up quickly, as he almost always does. Amato will take his time. He's not inconveniencing Coletta. I said it's a very cool day. Little chance any of these engines are going to overheat to any great extent. Joe Amato in the near lane. He had lane choice, selected that near lane. Put Connie Coletta on the far side. They inch forward. This is very, very delicate. You have to make sure you don't go through that bit. You can red light staging. They leave right together. In fact, Connie Coletta enjoyed a bit of a hole shot, but it was immediately overcome by Joe Amato. Amato, wow, 549, but look at the speed, 264 miles an hour.
Boy, they're really hooking up on this cool racetrack now, Steve. 260.